Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the English Prep Podcast.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about something that I know a lot of you guys have been asking about,
Yeah.
and that is choosing the right English proficiency exam.
Yeah. It really is kind of a tricky thing to figure out. There are just so many options out there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how do you even begin to choose?
Right.
So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today.
We're going to help you guys make sense of it all.
Yeah, we're going to be breaking down some of the most popular exams out there, comparing their formats and, all that stuff to help you figure out, like, which one is going to be the best fit for you.
Yeah, because it really does depend on, your individual situation, what your goals are, and all that good stuff.
Okay, so let's just start with the basics. Like, why are these exams so important anyway? Like, what's the big deal?
Well, they've basically become, essential for anybody who wants to, study abroad or work in an international company or immigrate to another country.
Right. Yeah, it's like your proof.
Exactly.
You can actually speak English.
Yeah. It's like, imagine trying to get into a university in the UK or Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Without being able to prove that you can speak English.
Right. You're not going to get very far.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the specific exams, starting with the two biggest ones.
Okay.
IELTS and TOEFL.
Yeah, those are kind of the big two, right?
Yeah, those are the ones that everybody's always talking about.
They're like the Coke and Pepsi of the English testing world.
I like that.
They're both good,
Okay.
It just depends on what you're looking for.
So let's break them down one by one, starting with IELTS. What is it test and all that?
Okay, so IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System. And basically it tests all four skills:
Okay.
listening, reading, writing, and speaking.
Got it.
And there are actually two versions of the IELTS.
Okay.
There's the academic version, which is for people who are applying to universities.
Okay.
And then there's the general training version, which is for people who are, maybe immigrating or looking for work in an English-speaking country.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, you'll have to choose which one is right for you depending on what your goals are.
And what about the speaking test for IELTS? I know that's one that a lot of people get nervous about.
Yeah, it can be a little nerve-wracking because unlike the TOEFL, you actually have to talk to a real person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you have a face-to-face interview with an examiner, and they ask you questions.
Oh, wow. So it's like a real conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's IELTS. What about TOEFL? How is that one different?
Okay, so TOEFL stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language, and it's mainly used for people who are applying to universities in the U.S.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about going to Harvard or Stanford or something like that, you'll probably need to take the TOEFL.
Got it.
And the TOEFL is all done on the computer.
Oh, okay.
So there's no face-to-face interview for the speaking section.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you just record your answers into a microphone.
Okay, so if you're not a fan of public speaking,
Yeah.
TOEFL might be a good option.
Exactly. And, it's all about finding the test that's going to be the best fit for you.
That's a good point. So we've got IELTS, which is more popular for universities outside the U.S. and has a face-to-face speaking test, and TOEFL, which is more popular for universities in the U.S. and has a recorded speaking test.
Right.
Got it.
So, yeah, now that you know a little bit more about the two main exams, I guess the next question is, How do you actually choose between them?
That's the big question, right?
How do you figure out which one is right for you?
Because they both sound pretty good to me.
Yeah, they're both good tests, but there are some key differences that you need to consider.
Okay, well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about how to actually choose the right exam for you.
Sounds good.
All right, so we're back. And now we need to figure out, how do we actually choose between these two big exams?
Right, because like we said, they're both good tests,
Yeah.
but they're different.
So how do we know which one's right for us?
Well, the first thing you need to think about is where you want to go. Like, what are your goals? Are you trying to get into a university?
Right.
Are you trying to get a job? Or are you trying to immigrate to another country?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to study abroad in, say, Australia,
Right.
Which one should I take?
So for Australia, IELTS is usually the preferred test.
Okay.
But if you're thinking about going to the U.S., like we said before,
Yeah.
TOEFL is usually the better option.
Okay. So location is a big factor.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
But what if I'm not really sure where I want to go yet? Like, what if I'm just trying to improve my English in general?
Well, in that case, you can kind of think about which test format you would prefer. So
Okay.
like we talked about before, IELTS has that face-to-face speaking test,
Yeah.
which can be a little bit nerve-wracking for some people.
Right.
But TOEFL, you just record your answers into a microphone.
Right.
So if you're not comfortable with public speaking, TOEFL might be a better option.
Okay, so it's all about personal preference too.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got location and we've got format. Anything else we should be thinking about?
I think the other big thing is just to think about your own strengths and weaknesses.
Okay.
Like, are you a good writer? Are you a good speaker?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Because IELTS has a lot of writing.
Okay.
So if you're not a strong writer, that might not be the best test for you.
Right. But if you're like a really strong speaker, then maybe IELTS is better because you can show off your skills in that face-to-face interview.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So to recap, we needed to think about location test format and our own personal strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
Okay, cool. I think that's a really good overview.
Yeah.
What about some of the other exams out there? Like I know there's the Cambridge exams and Polinia.
Mm-hmm.
Are those worth considering?
Yeah, so those are definitely worth considering too. The Cambridge exams are kind of interesting because they're valid for life.
Oh, wow.
So once you pass a Cambridge exam, you don't have to take it again.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's a big plus. But they're not as widely accepted as IELTS and TOEFL. So you'll want to check with the specific universities or employers that you're interested in to see if they accept the Cambridge exams.
Got it.
And then PTE is a good option if you need your results quickly.
Okay.
Because they're known for having really fast turnaround times.
Got it. So if you're in a hurry, PTE might be the way to go.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So we've talked about a lot of different exams today.
Yeah, we have.
But I think the most important thing is just to do your research and figure out which exam is going to be the best fit for you.
Right.
Because there's no right or wrong answer. It
Exactly.
all depends on your individual situation.
And your goals.
Right. All right, so I think that's a good place to stop for today.
Yeah.
But make sure to tune in next time because we're going to be talking about how to actually prepare for these exams once you've chosen one.
Yeah, we'll give you some tips and tricks on how to study and how to improve your English so you can get the score you need.
Awesome. All right, see you guys next time. All right, so we're back. And I think we've covered just about everything you need to know about choosing the right English proficiency exam.
Yeah, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about.
Definitely. But, before we wrap up, I think it's important to remember, why are we doing this in the first place?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It's easy to get caught up in all the details of, which exam to take and how to study for it and all that stuff. But we shouldn't lose sight of, the bigger picture.
Right, what are your goals? Why are you learning English?
Exactly. So I think before you even start thinking about exams, you need to ask yourself, what are you hoping to achieve? Do you want to study abroad? Do you want to work in an international company? Or do you just want to be able to travel the world and communicate with people from different cultures?
Yeah, once you know what your goals are, it'll be much easier to choose the right exam and to stay motivated during the whole process.
Yeah, because the exam is just one small step on your journey.
Exactly. It's not the end goal.
Right? It's just a tool to help you get where you want to go.
So don't get too stressed out about it.
Yeah, just try to enjoy the process and remember to celebrate all the progress you're making along the way.
Yeah, and most importantly, don't give up on your dreams.
That's right. Keep learning, keep practicing, and you'll get there.
All right, so that's it for today's episode of the English Prep Podcast.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and good luck on your English learning journey.
Bye.